Hello. Got sound. We've got cat. So really we have all the things. Excuse me, ma'am. I have to move the thing. All right. I thought I brought a blog. I did. Welcome. Grab props, something to sit on, something to prop yourself up with, a strappy type object. You can always modify by sitting in a chair for the most part. So I have explained the theory of using props to some of the people in DMs. If you are interested in hearing how to modify with like a general theory, not just specifics, that way you can make up your own modifications, let me know and I'll send you the video. We'll go ahead and get started. So we're gonna start kneeling just to open up the bottom part of the body a little bit. You can sit on a block. You can kneel without a block. There's a block here, so I could sit on it on any setting. You could sit on it on the yoga mat. You can kneel on a softer surface than the ground, because sometimes the limiting factor for people is not the hips so much as it is the discomfort of the shin and bone against the ground, because the mat is not sufficient to pad for them. So there's lots of different options immediately. We're not going to be here for too long. If you need to take a regular crisscross applesauce seat instead, you're welcome to do that. You're checking in from the bottom to the top. Regardless of what's happening with your legs here, you want to go ahead and try to position your spine neutral. So natural lumbar curve for your body. Lift up out of the lumbar without overextending your low back. If you can think about having a plane and a plane, right? This can certainly pull in and arch back. This can go along with, or this can slide down and this can slide up independently. And that's really what you're going for, is sort of a slide up in the front of your body without overarching your back body. And you can sit here. We'll be here for, let's say, 3 more breaths. In case you were wondering, and I haven't specifically said it, I don't think, in the other classes, but we are breathing in and out only through the nose without clenching your jaw. All right, so I'm setting a yoga block out here on the highest setting. You might want something higher than this, like a table. I could easily turn around and use this chair here, no problem. The idea is you want to get your arms out in front of you. In fact, there's a table right here, right? Arms out in front of you. They'll have to be more narrow if you're using a traditional block, unless you have 2 blocks, in which case you can put 1 on each. And you're going to drop your chest down in line with your shoulders, then drop your ears down in line with your shoulders. And from there, you can round your back, or you can drop your chest down more. You can look up, or you can let your head hang. And I'm gonna come on back over to the block so you can see that from the side, because there's certain activations in your low back too that will change the stretch for you. So while you're here with it, you may allow your whole spine to be in a big cow shape, or you can scoop your tailbone underneath you and still drop your chest through and get long through your arms. That's gonna isolate the stretch more in your upper back and shoulders. So it's pretty customizable in terms of where you feel it in your spine and in your shoulders. Try to feel your arms plugging into your body. And then make your way slowly up. You'll leave your hands planted underneath you, and you can go ahead and move your right hand directly underneath your nose. Press down. Take your left hand up to your left hip. Roll and stack your sides, one over the other. Left side over right side. From here, if it's comfortable in your shoulders, you can wing your arm up and around. And in fact, you might want to do that a couple of times, landing in the sort of thumb rotated behind you, external rotation. And you can also round down and open up. Spinal flexion, sort of rounding, protracting the shoulder, and then retract the shoulder and stack. One more time. This time when you come up, pivot and slide your left leg long as well, so that you're in a modified side plank, and then get long through your entire left side by sliding your palm forward and pressing, pretend like you're pressing down into like the top of a pillar over here with your left palm. In your left leg, you specifically want your outer ankle rounded, and you want to feel your quadricep muscle engage on your left leg. Push your hips a little forward and lean your upper body back a little bit to get the most stretch out of both your side and the front of your left hip. Lift your left arm back up, give a little push out of the ground, and stand up on your right knee and your left leg. Lift, I'm going to take my right thumb up and forward like I'm shaking somebody's hand, and then straight up by my ear. So I'm at 90-degree angles here. Okay, contract through the ribs on the left side and tip it over. And I'm keeping my arm long. There's like this tendency for people who want to make it look pretty to kind of put some flourish in the elbow and the wrist and everything, but really you're wanting to get maximum length, so that will be a nice long line. If you can bring the contraction from your ribs into your obliques, your side body below the ribs, you can bend it over a little bit more. If you find yourself dipping forward, lean your body back just a little bit. You can leave your head neutral, or you can drop your left ear down to your left shoulder and reach your right side jaw straight up to the ceiling to get a little more out of it if you would like. Come on up, arms out wide to a T again with your palms facing forward. Give yourself, oh my gosh, I'm so tight. Give yourself a hug with your left arm over your right arm, and try to work your fingers into your shoulder blades, like behind your shoulder blades. And then exhale, round your upper back, tuck your chin into your chest, protract your shoulders a whole lot. You can even use your palms to slide the skin and the muscle down over the shoulder blade. Maybe that's enough. Maybe you want a little more. You want to eagle wrap your arms, wrap your forearms, and then your wrists. From there, if you do have that shape as well, you can draw your elbows down and you get a stretch, or you can lift your elbows up and you get a stretch. I think for me, down and continue that rounding paradigm is going to be the ticket. Okay, release on up, inhale, exhale, cartwheel your right hand back down to the ground, slide your left leg back with you, drop that left knee down to the left, and thread your left arm underneath you. I'll face the camera for this so that you can see what it looks like from a different angle. Thread your arm underneath you, turn your chin so that you're looking to the right, and then go ahead and drop your left ear down to the ground and your left shoulder down to the ground. From the other side, when you're doing that, you want to make sure that your left shoulder is not way back here touching your knee. You need some space to get it into the shoulder, to get the stretch in the shoulder. So make sure there's some space between your left shoulder and your left hip. Take your time, we'll linger in this. I know that people sometimes need to check a couple of times to make sure they have it right. So we're not gonna rush through this. Extend your right arm nice and long. And then from there, you'll notice that your right hip, if you're not active on the side, your right hip's gonna wanna like tilt or twist a little forward toward your right armpit. So you want to send your right hip a little back and rotate your left hip a little forward to bring your hips to be square here. And you're breathing into whatever stretch you feel. It's a twist, it's a compression. So there's a lot going on, and there's more than one area that you could be stretching while you're here. Exhale, release. Back to the middle, grab a block. Grab 2 blocks, move back to the table, move back to the chair, whatever you initially did that sort of elevated puppy pose at, do it again. Hands on the block, hands on your surface. Drop your chest down. Put a sway in your entire back, or tuck your tailbone underneath you and just put it in your T-spine. Your head can be down, or your gaze can be forward. Okay, come on out. And now we'll start it all on the other side, so I will pivot. You don't have to pivot, I'm just pivoting so you can kind of see the same exact thing happen, but from the other side. So this time you'll plant your left hand underneath your nose, and you'll lift up out of that left shoulder, and take your right hand to your right hip, roll and stack your right side over your left side, reach that top arm up, and you can make a couple of circles with it to help find the place you want your right arm to reside, or you can round down, protract everything, retract the shoulder, and externally rotate to lift up out of it a couple of times. Lift up through that right arm your last time, and then you're going to slide your right leg back, pivot, your left heel behind you, kick your cat out of the way. This is sort of a very broken down warrior 2 alignment. This front knee is directly perpendicular to the arch on my back foot. So it's sort of a very similar thing, it's just foreshortened. Okay, so you're up. You're gonna slide your palm long over your ear, and you're gonna make sure that you're making an arch shape to get the stretch out of your side. So go ahead and press down into your imaginary surface with your right hand, let your left ear go down, lift the inner thigh on your right leg, and push your hips forward and lean your upper body back like there's a wall behind you. Lift up with your top arm, and then come on all the way up. All right, swing that left arm forward, and then up by your ear. You've got your 90-degree angles. Take your right hand to your rib cage, contract through the ribs, and slide it over, side stretch. And continue to stretch down into your obliques. You're welcome to tip it down more. Good, come on up. And I think it is right arm. I don't remember. I think it's whatever arm, just feel it out. I think right arm over left arm under. I can't remember what I did last time. I think that's what I did last time. Yeah. So left arm over, right arm under. But if you really need the first side a second time, whatever, it's fine. Okay, you're gonna slide the skin on your back down, round into it, lift up. You can take that sort of into an upper back cat-cow if that's accessible for you. Or you can just stay and work the shoulders with the hands, or you can double wrap and find that eagle arm shape, pull the elbows down, and stay upright in the spine and just pull down through the elbows, move your head and neck around, and lift the elbows up, tip it back, or you can round your spine. Unravel the arms wherever you were with it, reach long on your inhale, then you're going to take it down to the ground, pivot your right knee down to the ground, slide your right arm underneath you to the left. Remember to keep space between your right shoulder and your right knee, and then look to the left, drop your right ear down to the ground. This time your left hip will want to sneak forward, left hip back, right hip forward to keep the hips neutral and your spine nice and long. Unravel, both hands just on the ground for puppy. You'll notice it'll feel a little bit different. You won't have, probably won't be quite as intense, but you're gonna have your arms out far in front of your shoulders. So drop your ears down in line with your shoulders, with your biceps, and then slide your chest on down. You may be able to, again, you might want to put a cat spine, tuck your tailbone under so that you're only feeling this in the upper back, or you might want to put the whole spine into it, up to you. Walk your hands back in. Grab a strap or a strappy object, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to give you a couple of options with this. And I'll go ahead and just demo it first. That way you can see what your options are, and then I'll invite you to go ahead and do it with. That way you don't necessarily have to try to be doing it and seeing it at the same time. And we've done versions of this before, at least the first part. Okay, so you can sit, normally with your legs out in front of you. They don't have to be in any shape. And you can have your strappy object back behind you with your thumbs pointing to the outsides, right? outside thumbs. The other thumb is also pointing out to the outside. You're going to slide your arms long, slide your shoulders, right? Uncrunch your neck as much as possible, and then move your arms back / slide your butt forward, lift your chest up, and keep rolling your shoulder blades together. You do not need to crank into that. You don't need to crank into that with your arms. The longer you get and the more you lift your chest up, the more you're going to open up in the front of your chest. And the further your arms away from your hips, or the closer your arms are together on the strap, you'll be able to get a lot out of that without trying to crank into your arms. However, you're also welcome to do this via camel. So if you're doing what I just did, go ahead and go there, give it like 5 breaths, break, and then do it again. If you're doing a camel variation, we'll set it up so that you're long through the front of your hips, your butt muscles are squeezed in the outside. You're going to stay long through the front of the hips. You're welcome to tuck the toes or untuck the toes and go back. I know for a fact my shoulders would appreciate it if I just used a strap instead today for my own self. The mechanism is going to be the same in the shoulders. So you'll have your strap up behind you. You'll slide, you'll kind of give it a little initial rip apart, slide your arms down long, roll your shoulders a little bit apart, and then lift your chest up, okay? Keep the hips forward while you're doing that. Try not to rip it apart at the wrists. You see what I'm doing maybe right now? That is going to put the strain in your wrists. Keep your knuckles in line with your wrists, knuckles pointing straight down to the ground, and slide down like that. Lift your chest up, butt on. Your head does not have to go back, or your head can slide and go back too. If you've taken a break, that's fine. Take a break, come back for another 5 breaths. If you're in it and you're comfortable enough to stay, we'll be here for another 5 breaths. Lead with your heart to come back up. Tuck your chin. Release. Sit down, however you're comfortable. Give it a moment. We're still going to do it one more time. If you are tighter, like I am, then you're pretty much good to go. The only thing that you really need to be careful of is, are you using your strength and putting way too much in your low back? You want to feel your butt turn on and a big stretch in your shoulders in the front and like a heart opening. You don't really want to feel this in your low back. For back-bendy people who are generally more flexible to begin with, it is not hard for y'all to get into this shape. However, kind of the same thing, it is still challenging to keep it out of your low back, right? So you still need to be looking for your glutes if you're in camel. And that's if you're in camel. For both of them, you need to be making sure that you are not overdoing it in the elbow, and that this stretch that's happening is happening as a very big integration across the chest, not just up and back, but think of it as almost a spiraling open. If my arms were down here, and you could think of my arms as like the different ends of a scroll, you would want to be scrolling your arms together behind you, but this is what you're going for. It's this breadth that you're going for, and the lift of the sternum. Again, if we're talking about the 2 planes here, where like you've got your front and your back, you're lifting up the front without pulling the back in a whole lot or cranking the low back a bunch. It's lifted this front plane of the body and a breadth in the front plane of the body. Okay, let's do it again. Your choice of which one you want to do, 5 breaths. All right, come on up slowly, lead with your heart. And let's do a little head and neck stuff while we're here. All right, you can sit comfortably. Truly, whatever that means, we're gonna finish out with a little head and neck stuff. Okay, so let's go. Take your right fingers down to the ground, okay? And you will tilt your left ear down to your left shoulder, and make sure that you're creating this sort of line here that arches with the rest of your spine. You can do that by sort of taking this jaw and aiming it first at a diagonal, and eventually as you get more into the lateral, it will point straight up. But this sharp line of your jaw is what's kind of tracking up and over, rather than thinking about what's happening on the underside of the neck. Okay? So you can stay like that, or you can bring your left hand just a little bit over onto the right side of your head, and then don't pull, it's just the weight is there to give you a little more. On your next exhale, turn your chin down so that your chin is to your left shoulder. Crawl your right arm backward a couple of inches. Now you're getting a little bit more toward the back of the neck. Take your left hand to the right side of your head and press on it. You're going to keep your head down. You're going to press into your fingers and you're going to resist for 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to slowly guide your head back upright. And then we'll do it on the other side. Sneak your left hand down to the ground. Tilt your right ear down, but then fine tune it by thinking about what plane this jaw line is on, and accentuating this underside curve with that jaw being aligned. Then you're going to take your right hand up and over to just to the left side of the skull, not pulling, you're just resting, as your hands just parked there. Turn your chin to your right shoulder, sneak that left arm back a couple of inches. And then move your right fingers to the bone on the right side of your head, press and resist. And then guide your head back up. And if we're gonna make OHB, I say we call it here. Yes. Okay. So we'll circle back, we'll do shoulders similarly with some of these same poses each Sunday. Wednesdays will be more hip oriented, more lower body, hamstrings and hips. If we need to add more days, we will. But let's keep most of these poses the same week over week so that you'll get familiar with them, and once you do, we can change it up from there. Okay? I will see y'all in the den.